Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a topic that's kind of hidden in plain sight on, well, pretty much every dinner plate: pesticides. So, how do they get there, and what are they really doing to our world? Okay, get this number in your head: 2 million tons. That is the absolutely staggering amount of pesticides that we spray across the globe every single year. It's a scale that's almost impossible to imagine, and it's all in the name of growing the food that ends up on our tables. But this brings us to the big question for today. Are these chemicals a blessing, a necessary tool for feeding billions of people, or are they actually a curse on our health and the environment? It's a huge trade-off, so let's really unpack it. So first up, why did we even start using these things so heavily? Well, it all boils down to one fundamental global challenge. And that challenge is this: the relentless threat from insects, diseases, and weeds. You know, if we did nothing, absolutely nothing at all, they could destroy up to 40% of our entire food supply. That would be a truly catastrophic loss, especially when you have billions and billions of mouths to feed. So, to fight back against that threat, humanity turned to chemistry. The goal? To develop a powerful toolkit that could give us quick, effective results against these constant agricultural enemies. And that tool, of course, is the pesticide. Now, there's a really broad term for pretty much any substance designed to control anything we consider a pest, whether that's an insect chewing on leaves or a fungus that's causing rot. And these chemicals are super specialized. You've got your insecticides for insects, herbicides for weeds, and fungicides for fungus, and so on. Each one is basically a specific weapon designed for a specific battle on the farm. And right here, you can see the blessing side of that whole equation in action. I mean, the benefits were just undeniable. Farmers saved money, we could grow way more food on less land, and crop yields just exploded. But here's where the story takes a turn. As the use of these chemicals just skyrocketed, people started to realize there was a pretty significant and often hidden downside to all this. Now, we've been trying to protect our crops for literally millennia, but it was the boom in synthetic pesticides in the 20th century that changed everything. And then in 1962, Rachel Carson's incredible book Silent Spring came out, and it was a real watershed moment. It forced the public to finally confront the hidden environmental dangers of these chemicals for the very first time. This next part is wow. It's just truly staggering. Look at this breakdown. When an insecticide is sprayed, less than 2% of it actually hits the pest it was intended for. So where does the other 98% go? It just drifts. It goes into the air, it seeps into the soil, it runs off into our water. And this really gets to the heart of the problem. It's a double-edged sword, right? On one side, you've got amazing pest control and bigger harvests, but on the other, you've got all these unintended consequences: killing off beneficial insects, polluting our soil and water, and shoving toxins straight into the entire food chain. And as soil experts warn us, this has some really serious long-term consequences. You see, healthy soil is a living, breathing ecosystem. When pesticides basically sterilize it by killing off all those essential microorganisms, the soil itself just begins to die. It loses its structure, its fertility, everything. So yeah, the impact spreads way, way beyond just the farm field. You've got runoff polluting our rivers, you have chemicals that can stick around in the soil for decades, the spray drifts on the wind, and all of this causes immense harm to wildlife. We're talking birds, fish, and even the very honeybees we need to pollinate our crops in the first place. And this widespread environmental damage, it doesn't just stop with nature. Nope. Inevitably, it circles right back around to us, and it poses a direct, serious threat to human health. The most immediate danger here is acute poisoning. Globally, pesticides are responsible for an estimated 1 million deaths every single year. That's a huge and honestly often overlooked public health crisis. But it's not just about that immediate danger. Long-term, low-level exposure is linked to a pretty terrifying list of chronic problems. Everything from nervous system damage and reproductive issues all the way up to a significantly increased risk of cancer. Okay, so this all paints a pretty grim picture, I know. But it's not the end of the story. The real question is, what's the alternative? Well, scientists and farmers are now exploring a much more balanced, more sustainable path for the future of agriculture. And the way forward isn't just one single magic bullet. It's a whole toolkit of smarter strategies. We're talking about things like using natural biopesticides, introducing predator insects to do the work for us, rotating crops to break those pest cycles, and this whole holistic approach called integrated pest management, where chemicals are only ever used as a last resort. And so we end up right back where we began, with this really fundamental question. The challenge is exactly the same. We still have billions of people to feed. But the takeaway, I think, is crystal clear. The future requires us to innovate. We have to find that delicate, crucial balance between feeding humanity and protecting the long-term health of our planet. And of course, ourselves.